I guess I'm Irish, so have a penchant for storytelling, I guess. You know, um,
Well, at least you're
but
not
like
singing it, right?
most,
Like you're
yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah. Like most Irish Americans, we just claim the Irish side more than the rest,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
you know, I I've always enjoyed writing, so um, again, you said we can go down, wormholes or whatever.
Go.
Yeah. So when I I really thought I'd probably be an English professor, like you said you were going to be a
Mm-hmm.
history professor. I thought maybe
Mm-hmm.
English professor, or English teacher. My dad was a high school history teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
and he loved coaching, and so I was, but he knew nothing about soccer. I grew up on the sidelines of football, when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Um, but at 5'7", 150 pounds, football
It ain't happening.
wasn't my thing. Yeah, 5'7" might be a stretch too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so when I was in college, I was an English major, and I kind of thought that was the direction I was going. And my senior year after soccer had ended, I went to Drake University. A woman by the name of Ramona Barber, who is kind of like famous in Iowa for these tournaments eventually ran.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she contacted my roommate and I and said, "Hey, do you want to coach a youth soccer team? You guys have just finished playing. Do you want to coach a youth soccer team here in Des Moines?" And we were like, "Sure." And so I found myself in class as opposed to listening to professors. I was like writing up practice and drawing out the lineups. Like, okay, if we're losing, we got to play, this kid. If we're winning, we got to play, this kid. And it was a U13 team, and already I was obsessed. And so I remember,
I never did that.
yeah, yeah, right, exactly, right. And so I remember my parents came for graduation, and I had I had been gotten awards for poetry,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, all things. And they came and they said, "Hey, what do you want to be?" And I go, "Well, I think I want to be a soccer coach." And they both had this look on their face like they just smelled puke, you know, like 4 years of education and you want to be a soccer coach. Um, anyway, so I wanted to be a soccer coach, but like the idea of writing was always in my blood, right?
Yeah.
And when I quit doing the expansive, travel across the country club soccer thing, I thought, maybe I'll write a memoir, right? And so I started writing a soccer memoir, and I wrote it and rewrote it, and had like three different people editing it, and they were all like very nice and very good. And one day, I was talking to one of them, and the one who knew the least about soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, this thing stinks. And she kind of started laughing, right? And she was like, "Well," and I go, "It would just be better if it was a lot of like a bunch of different stories, wouldn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think that would be a lot better." And so I scrapped the memoir and started turning all the stories in the memoir into their own story. And then COVID hit, and I had way more free time, and so I started a blog. That was
Yeah.
really it. And I took all the stories from the memoir, and then in that
Mm-hmm.
time I added other ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And during COVID, I was pumping out for a while, like two a week. Um, and really, what I was mostly doing was revising stuff I'd already written.
Uh-huh.
And so I did that for just a long time. And the whole, you kind of hit it on the head that um, the idea of it isn't that it's about soccer because soccer is what I do, right? That's been my profession
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
livelihood, and would have been my hobby if I had another
Yeah.
um, profession. But I really didn't want it to be about soccer, if that makes sense. I want
Yeah.
it to be about,
Yeah.
you know, the things we deal with in life, and have soccer be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
vehicle for telling stories.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's what was fun to me. Like when I look at like, you know, a lot of soccer things that you would read, it's always about like what formation did you use, and
It's the game.
yeah, and I
That's
just
what I
thought
always
nobody
say.
needs to read another boring thing about
No.
why we should go back to the Dutch system,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
why we have to high press, like I was like,
Yeah.
all that's out there. I'm like, I just like telling stories better, and I thought it was more interesting, you know. So